What's going on, everybody? Pastor Paul here, once again, your life recovery coach, and welcome to Coach's Corner. I want to thank all of you that are coming in on the replay. Do me a huge favor and hashtag replay and let us know that you're in the room when you do come in. And I want to thank all those that are coming in live because, excuse me, without you, we couldn't do what we do, right? And so I just want to be able to engage with y'all and get this topic out. And we have a phenomenal interview going on tonight. It's going to be so freaking crunk. I got my girl, Windy Lopez, the bomb.com, the boom shaka princess of the world, right? Me and Windy go way back. We go back probably 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And she is in a place right now where God is really, truly working in her life and showing her exactly where she needs to go. And so we're going to break down an awesome conversation today. And it's talking about, like, we don't even have a title for it, but it's really breaking down the whole concept of what destruction may come when you enable a person in their addiction. And so, Windy, without further ado, do me a huge favor, girl, and let us know where you're from. Let us know what we're going to talk about, and let's get this party rocking.
All right, cool. Sounds good. So I'm Windy, and I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. And thank God I now have almost 20 months of sobriety. So with what we're going to be talking about today, it's going to be a mixture of my experience, what I've learned through all the attempts at sobriety I've done, what I've learned from my family and friends who were a part of my recovery journey. And it's a long, 16 years that this has gone on. So everything that I've accumulated throughout this journey, my main goal, my main prayer is that it helps somebody else, because addicts get a lot of help whether they want it or not, but there's not really a lot of help for the loved ones that are in the addict or the alcoholic's life. Right. And, now that I've gotten sober and I see how much pain and harm I cause to the people that I love, I have such an affinity towards helping them. And I'm always going to want to help my fellow man. I'm always going to help the addict, but I just have a soft spot for the people that are in the loved one's life, because I see firsthand how painful it is. I mean, it hurts for the addict to go through what they're going through, but it also hurts for the mom or the dad or the brother or the sister or the husband or the wife. What about them? They need help too. They need to be taught, hey, you need to stop doing this. Hey, you need to start doing this. I just want to give them insight on ways that maybe we can put a stop to the addiction, or we can at least get them the help that they need so that they can get onto that road to recovery.
Awesome. While you were talking about that, I can remember when I was out there and really, truly, pretty much playing the victim card.
Yes,
I wasn't has to come into this world. You're the one who brought me into this place. So you need to take care of me, or I'm a good guy, or, this or that. And so I could totally relate, because I think what happens so many times is that we place that stigma on recovery. We place that stigma on the addict. We place that stigma on the person that's trying to help, that we need to do over and above what we're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And it is that I believe, and I'm sure you do too, is that the more somebody does for us, the less work we want to do, right?
Yeah, because why would we? I mean, if you're making my life easy, then there's no way I'm going to change. If you're paying my bills for me, why am I going to get a job?
Absolutely.
I have to, because I know you're going to do it. If I'm not cleaning my house up because you're doing it for me, then why would I ever lift a finger to take out the trash? And it's things like that are, if you don't know what you're doing, you're never going to stop it. And another thing about being an enabler is you might not know that you're codependent. And for people that don't know what codependency is, if you're always there to fix somebody's mistakes, if you're always there to clean up the mess, if you're just, for lack of better words, if you're addicted to taking care of someone else and it makes you feel a sense of worthiness because you're taking care of another person, that's you being codependent. So you could be a codependent mom, dad, boyfriend, husband, whatever, and you don't even realize it because you don't know that it's a thing. Right. And it is. So I would encourage, there's YouTube videos you can watch, there's books that you can read, and then counseling and therapy. And of course, that is going to come in the long term if somebody's really ready to get some help. But basically, the first thing that somebody needs to do, like if your son or your daughter is going through something right now with drugs or alcohol, first of all, something's wrong with them in here. Okay. It's like I was telling you yesterday, Paul, people that are happy don't drink and do drugs. It's not a feel good thing. Like, yeah, when you're in high school and you start going to parties, you know, I remember my first drink was like a Smirnoff apple, whatever. And I just wanted to fit in with everybody else, what they were doing.
Right.
But over time, it wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't because that's what everybody else is doing. Like I started drinking when my alcoholism was at its worst. I was drinking in the morning. I was drinking alone. I was drinking. I was sad. I was sad because I was drinking. It was terrible. It starts as something small, but it's going to snowball into something like, you know, way bigger. So you need to assess your loved one's problem. Like there's a big difference between they're just doing it a little bit too much or they're about to die, you know? So once you make that assessment and you come to the realization is like, there's a problem here. We got to do something. Now, what are you doing that's still enabling them? Are you paying their bills? Are you giving them money? Even though if you don't know what it's for, are you still giving them money? If your kid or the whoever, we'll just say the addict, if they ain't got a job and you're giving them money, you're enabling them. Right. If you're still letting them live at your house, you're enabling them. And I can say from my own experience, like I thought that I was always going to have somewhere to stay. You know, my parents would never kick me out. They'd never shut the door on me. You know, like as an addict and being a queen of manipulation, like I was,
right.
You know, I was never coming to the reality of nothing's ever going to happen to me because my family they love me and they're never going to let anything happen. Well, at the end of the day, when my family finally started saying, you know, Windy, no, they started saying no. And I was just like appalled, like, who are they? Yeah. You know, it was that really showed me that they meant business, because if they'd have never done something like that, or they'd never really like put the hammer down on me, I would have kept walking all over them.
Right.
And, you know, it's going to be a hard thing to do because, of course, if your daughter or your son or whoever is going through this, you want to like hold on to them and love them and stuff. But I've heard scenarios where a mom will say, you know, yes, I'll let her do it, but I watch how much she does. You know, at least she's doing it at my house and she's not out there doing it. That is so unhealthy. Yes, I get where you're coming from. You're saying, I got it under control. You know, I ration her money. I know how much she has. It doesn't matter because that little amount of money that you're giving her could go buy that one hit of dope that kills her.
Wow.
That's another thing that people need to understand about drugs and alcohol. There is no difference between this batch and this batch, except one is going to be the one that takes you out. That one last time is going to be the one that kills you. That blackout that you think is just a normal thing because you're blacking out every weekend could be the one that kills you, or you get in a wreck. I mean, you cannot take for granted the fact that, oh, I've always got tomorrow, or, you know, we don't have that. And I've personally lost too many people because they do it that one last time. But what family members and friends need to realize is if you've already realized that there's a problem, it's only going to get worse. There's no way that addiction doesn't go into regression unless action is being taken.
Come on.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I was about to say, girl, I got to write that one down.
Yeah, send it to me after you get it. Right. No, like it's not one of those things that, oh, well, it's getting pretty bad, but I don't think it's going to get any worse. There's no such thing as that, because all Satan wants, once that hook is in, once he sees that he's got you, it's like he's just going, yep, got one. And it's going to be a fight, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be ugly, and it's going to be painful. And there's no way it's going to stop unless you get in there and you do something about it. I mean, I tried buku times. I think I've attempted sobriety maybe 40 or 50 or something. Yep. You know, you too. And anybody will tell you it's not one of those things that you get right on the first time. I don't care who you are. Nobody's going to convince me that day one I decided it was over and that was that. Like, right. I'm not saying it's not possible, but right. I really want to express the importance of the root cause of addiction and alcoholism. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
we
not
already
even.
said that it's happy people don't do these things. Now, the only way that you're going to get out of addiction or alcoholism is by getting into your heart and figuring out why are you drinking and using in the first place.
Mm.
So, to get back onto the loved one of the addict, it's going to be painful for you too, because you might not want to hear some of the things that your child or your husband is harboring, because it's going to be painful for you, but you're going to have to put on an extra coating of thick skin. And remember, this is not about you. Okay. This is not about you. This is about the person that thinks smoking meth for 7 days a week and then taking Xanax to fall asleep and then doing the cycle all over again. They're just running away from reality, because the truth is reality hurts. And if you really want to get the process started of recovery, we've got to get into a facility center. Now, with the rehabs, I have been to 30-day treatment centers. I've been to 60-day, 90 days. I've been to $6,000 rehab centers, and I've been to state-funded rehab centers. I've been to all women's. I've been to co-ed. I've been to all of them. So I don't mean to sound like I know it all. When it comes to this, I got the experience to back it up. So
You got the degree.
yeah, I mean, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to all rehab. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my advice on that is, all right, so say you've determined, yep, we've got a problem. Well, the next step is going to get them to go along with whatever you're doing. I'm going to say 90% of the time, they're not going to be cool with it. They're going to be in denial. They're going to tell you you're crazy. They are going to probably run away and, threaten to never talk to you again. They might rob you in your sleep and go do whatever they want to do. I mean, with the addict, you never know, because it's always like thin ice. They're always, there is no rest for the wicked. I promise you that. We're always wondering what's going to happen next. How are we going to get our next fix? Where are we going to sleep tonight? If you're in the rock bottom stages.
Right.
So, if you've talked to them and they agree with you that there's a problem and they want to get help, which is what we hope and pray for is going to be the result of this conversation you're going to have with them.
Absolutely.
Then let's say you're looking for facility centers. Now, in my experience, the $6,000 rehab that I went to, it was nice. It was nice. It was fancy. They did their very best, but I still relapsed the night I left. Okay. So does that say I wasn't ready for rehab? Does that say that rehab didn't work? What does that say? That can be left to interpretation. But what I can say about government funded facility centers that are gross, that are dirty, that don't cost anything to get in except you get on some Medicaid, those environments really, I'll talk about for me, it really made me look at what my life was like. Right. Wow, Windy, this is where you are. You're not staying here. And then the voice of reason in my head would say, well, you wouldn't be doing this if you hadn't, you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't be in this predicament if you'd not driven your life this far down into the ground. And yeah, the first rehab I stayed at that was nasty. I'm not going to say names of any places or nothing like that, but remember, it had bed bugs, it had roaches, and the kitchen was just disgusting, but it brought reality to life. Okay. Wow. So the reason why I would say don't go spend, I am so thankful that my family did this. I'm grateful. But if I could say it to another family member, don't go waste your money. Not waste. Don't spend your money on a very expensive facility center because of that reason. You're going to comfort them and make them like at peace, and it's going to be all like serrating, and we're going to have massage group, blah, blah, blah. No, don't make it nice. This ain't supposed to be nice. Really, it's supposed to be raw. It is supposed to be just the most filthy thing you're going to go through. Not filthy as in just the environment, but metaphorically, it's going to be so just emotional. And it's got to be the most invasive experience you've ever been through. Now, I'm not saying that counselors at all these places where it costs money, they're not worth it, because yes, they do a great job. They need to get paid for the degree that they have, and they especially need to be paid for the type of person that they're working with, because I was no walk in the park during therapy. I promise you that. Okay. And it's just, they need to see what life has really come to. Everybody's rock bottom is different, but essentially it is the same. You know, if you still have money in your pocket, you ain't at rock bottom. If you're not stealing, you ain't at rock bottom. If you're not selling your body to get things that you want, you're not at rock bottom. And it's a sad thing to hear and say, but you have to overcome that shame and that guilt and look around you and be honest with yourself. You know, the whole part of recovery is being, just like they'll say in AA, rigorous honesty. And I'm not for AA. I'm not against AA. I agree with them in that sense. I lied to myself for a long time saying that it wasn't that bad, when in reality, it was that bad for a long time. And my family would try to tell me, like, Wendy, why don't you just, get some help, let's do something. I got to give my family a shout out, because without them, I would not be here at all. And that's going to lead me into the next thing. I say all that about my family to say this: don't be scared to call the cops on the person that you're worried about, because that might be the thing that saves their life. That might be the best thing for them. Don't be scared to have them locked up against their will, because again, that might be the same thing that saves their life. Addicts and alcoholics, we will fight you to the death. We'll do anything we can. If you've got us cornered back there, we're going to claw our way out to get to our next drink, or when we're in denial, So tough love and hard love and aggressive love looks different to a lot of people. But for me, especially the fact that I was about to commit suicide one night, for those who don't know my story, that's how I got into long-term rehab, was because I said, this is it, I'm done. And if it wasn't for my mom, my dad, and my best friend, like, tag teaming up, calling the cops, coming and searching for me and finding me, and some other things that I don't even know about because I don't remember that night, that put me into the treatment facility. Was I mad as hell?
Right.
Real mad.
Yeah.
Every time I've had to go to rehab or I've gone to jail, it'd be like, if I would have known, I wish I could have just one more drink, like when you're getting arrested and you hear that clink, clink, and that's it. You ain't getting out of this cop car. You're pissed off. But once you sober up, once you get into a rational way of thinking, once the high wears off, once you're in that cell or in that rehab center, you go, yep, I really need to be here. This is right. And for me, it was, and Paul, you were writing me letters during one of my arrests. I needed to be there. I think it was one of my DWIs, which I've got 2 now. And that was another sign that things have gotten out of control, like, up to me, Wendy's going to mess her life up.
Right.
Good Wendy. All right.
Right.
New Wendy realizes that without putting God at the center of everything, it can't be done. I mean, it really can't. And I truly hope that before you start doing all this, a very wise thing to do would stop, ask God for guidance, ask him for strength, because moms and dads, I know this is hard. I know you hate seeing your baby going through this.
Right.
If it's your wife or your husband, I know that when you married them or when you first got with them, this is not who you fell in love with. But underneath all the pain and all the alcohol and all the drugs, that person is still in there, and they're going to get it out if you come to them and approach them in a way that doesn't make them run, but makes them see, like, baby, this isn't you. This isn't you. Like, let's do this together. It's a touchy subject and it's painful, but it can be done. It's just, let's figure out the best way to approach it.
Absolutely. I really love what you're saying, because this also applies to not only someone who's addicted, right? this applies to anyone in general in life, that their parents are enabling them in areas that is not allowing them to grow.
Yeah.
So the more we hover over our children, the more we hover over our clients, the more we hover over the people that we mentor,
Mm-hmm.
the less their wings are able to flap in order to get out of that situation. And
Right.
so I love what you're saying, because I can remember my life, and it's so imperative for us to remember, as you know, those who have been addicted. I was addicted for 8 years on crystal meth. I mean, hard. I mean, I was lost. I was gone. I was in a place. I was in a dark place, and basically where you were at when I served a few little short runs in county jail. I'm sitting there going, really, like, this is where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
But until my family and my friends literally closed the doors, I had to make that choice. Like, okay, it's time for me to get up and get out. You follow what I'm saying? And was it easy? Hell no. It was harder than hell to get to a place, to finally get to the place of admitting that I had a problem.
Right.
Versus playing the blame game and all of that stuff that was going on in my mind. But like you said, it was the stuff that was inside. And so I want to speak to those parents, or to those aunts and uncles.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying earlier, I want us to go in to help them to understand that when the addict, when your son, when your daughter, when your niece, when your grandchild is crying out to you about a problem, it's not 99% just them trying to make an excuse of why they're on drugs. There are literally problems going on the inside that is causing that person, even if they're in their 20s and 30s, there's that problem that's inside there that is out to destroy them.
Yeah.
Because of something that they've experienced, something they've seen, something they have to keep hidden, something that is, shh, you better not tell nobody. And so they're living with these demons and with these places in their life that they just can't overcome. And so they go to the easiest thing that they're able to relate to, and that's isolation. And so I'm just very, very glad that you brought that up. Second point is that, like you said, we can't sugarcoat as parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially as the addict, I needed somebody hard in my life, even after the drugs and alcohol. I needed somebody hard in my life to help me to understand and to really shake my head to say, quit being the victim.
Yeah.
Like you're here to work. You're here to sweat. This is what life is. And if we don't do these things, we will never, ever become something else. And so I am very, very blessed. And this conversation has like really just started, because I want you to flow, and I want you to help the people understand, this parents out there, because like you said earlier, it's us working together.
Mm-hmm.
This is a together thing. And if anyone has any questions out there or input, like how do you overcome this or how do you overcome that? I know that we're focusing on the parents that are helping the kids and kind of covering them up, but we also want to answer any kind of questions that anyone may have, because I do these broadcasts and Wendy's doing this broadcast to help somebody be set free, period. Like, we're not here like, hey, look at us, we're on Facebook Live. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's not what this is about. We want to be able to help y'all, anyone who's out there, because we really don't know where this video is going to go. Once it's shared out, it's shared out. And so if anyone has any questions that you want to ask, because I know of someone who's in this room that I am not going to mention their name, but I know that one of their children has a drug problem. And so we want to be able to speak to that. We want to be able to help you to understand that there are those moments that you are going to have to let them go, because if you don't, they're not going to get better. And that's one of the hardest things that we do have to deal with. Sandy said earlier, she said, The tough love is always the hardest part when you try to help someone who may not have been ready. Many times people give up. I don't know you or her, but thank you for continuing to help her out. Not giving up on her. She probably wouldn't have been where she is now if you weren't there. I don't know who she was speaking to in that, but that's powerful because that's what helps us through, is without being that covering that is constantly shielding us from those wounds. So if you want to flow with that, girl, let's do this.
Yeah, when she said something about who may not have been ready, that's a big thing too, because if they, all right, how can I put this? God, give me the right words. You can try a million times to get somebody the help that they need. You can force feed them all the, you need help this, you're doing this, blah, blah, blah. But if they are not ready, then it's not going to happen. And unfortunately, it may take something drastic. It may take, a couple relapses. It may take a few rock bottoms. And I promise the next one is always worse than the one before. I mean, every time I've hit rock bottom, and I've hit it a few times in different ways, but I can remember thinking, there's no way it can get any worse than this. And I swear, I think like Satan hears that and he's like, boom, here I come. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful with what you're thinking when it comes to that. But yeah, I wasn't ready for a long time. And I only went to rehab to appease people. I only went to get my family off my back a little bit. And I was the queen of buying time. And, it's like, when are you looking for a job? Yeah, I went to this place and I put in 6 applications and blah, 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 blah. Like, I'll tell you whatever you want to hear just to get you to back up a little bit. Because really what I'm doing behind the scenes is what I don't want you to know about. So I'll put on a smile. And I mean, anybody that knows me will tell you that I was real good at getting you to believe what I wanted you to believe, except for like my mom. She always knew when I was lying. But yeah, when they want to get help and when they go and get fake help, you got to be able to discern the difference between the two. And hopefully the situation isn't so dire that you miss what's completely right in front of you. But just to keep the topic subject on the enabling part, see what kind of life they're living, see what kind of people they're hanging out with, because that's going to be huge. The company that you keep is exactly who you are. And for your spouse, if they are, if you're catching them in lies a lot of the time, if you're starting to see money go places that it's not supposed to be going, your loved one. That's the thing is, of course, if it's a stranger, you're not going to be able to like dictate whether or not they need help. But this is somebody that so you're just going to have to be honest with yourself and be honest with them, because they're not being honest. No alcoholic or drug addict is honest. I promise you that. But it's going to be time for you to like make a decision on, do I want to help this person, or am I just going to keep covering up their tracks? Am I going to keep lying for them? And as a matter of fact, there are questions that you can ask yourself, being honest, that will help you determine whether or not you're an enabler. And the first one is, are you making excuses for their behavior? Okay. If you and your girlfriend are going to a party and she is blacked out, making a fool out of you and her, and you're saying, oh, she's not normally like this, or it's just because she mixed tequila with the vodka. She doesn't normally, she's a whiskey girl, so I don't know. Like those kind of excuses, that's you covering her tracks. Anybody who is in their right mind can see that homegirl's got an issue, and it ain't gonna get fixed with a tissue, baby. I promise. So, stuff like that. Okay. Another one is, are you paying their bills? That one hurts for a lot of people. Okay. Now, I'm going to make an excuse for, let's say you bought your son or daughter a car and you're the co-signer. By all means, please, I'm not saying stop paying the bill on that and mess your credit up. You know what I mean? So I get you're in a little bit of a sticky sitch. But if you're paying their light bill, if you're paying their rent, if you're putting gas in their car, whatever, you got to stop doing that, because they're always going to think, my lights are always going to be on. I'm always going to be able to get where I need to go because mom pays for everything, or my dad pays for everything, or my husband pays for everything. If you're continuing to do that kind of behavior, then they're never going to stop and they're never going to change.
Right.
It's because they don't have a job. Why don't they have a job? You know, and all excuses need to go out the window. Well, I can't because I don't have a car. Bus, hello, walk. You know, there's no reason why they can't have a job. And I never wanted to have a job because it got in the way of my drinking. You know, I could get a job for like a couple of weeks or something, and then I would purposely do something to lose that job because I needed to get back home to my bottle that was out, you know. So there's no excuse for them not having a job. I have seen a drummer have no arms and still become a drummer. You know what I mean? If
Right.
you could do it. So we got to stop paying their bills. You got to cut them off.
Right.
Let's see. If you're loaning them money in any way, if you're giving them chances after chances after chances, if you've threatened to kick them out, but time and time again, you never end up doing it. And then if you're codependent, you know, that's where you're going to have to check yourself too.
Right.
So if you had said yes to any of those, then you need to do a self-evaluation. And I would ask God for help. Like, Lord, show me in what areas do I need your help? Show me how I'm being an enabler. Show me how I need to put my foot down. And if you're like a shy, quiet, timid person and tough love isn't really your style, like, ask God to give you the strength that you need. You know, there's nothing that he can't do. There's no battle that is too much for him.
Right.
And it says so many times in the Bible, like, give me this battle and I'll take it from you and I'll fight it for you. You know, don't think this is too much. I can't do it. Their addiction is too strong, or, you know, like, I'll take care of them and make sure nothing bad happens. You know, I watch them. I like I was saying earlier, I only give them a certain amount of money. I only let them buy a little fifth instead of, you know, don't make excuses for like that. If somebody needs help, they need help. Go get them the help. And when they say yes, and if they are going to go do it, you got to back up. You got to completely let the process happen. You know, don't hover over that person and try to be. You can be involved in the recovery journey, but you can't be all up in it. You know, they're going to have to do that by themselves.
Absolutely.
I remember one time I got so mad at my mom because everybody wanted me to go to AA, and I finally said, yes, I'm going to go to AA. Well, she drove me all the way there, but she wouldn't come inside with me. And I'll never forget, I was like, what do you mean? She goes, Wendy, you have to do this for yourself. This is you got to do it. I was so mad at that woman. I cussed her up and down. I was like, you know, fine, I tried to do it. And that was the manipulation coming in. I was going to do this, but if you can't even, I'm scared and I want your help and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, nope. I mean, I give my mother the most tremendous amount of kudos because she had hell to deal with me. And she's the strongest woman I know. And I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for my mama. So moms out there, if your daughter is anything like me or like I was, you know, you've got to back up a little bit. I'm not going to say like let them sit there and ruin their life, you know, by any means. You got to like take a step in, but back up off the reins to where, you know, some of the things that you're doing might be hurting them, like what we're saying, and, you know, kick them out. Stop paying the bills, you know, tell them that this is it. This is over. I can't support you or your lifestyle anymore. If there's a child involved, we got to get that kid out of there, of course, because we don't want anything bad happening with a baby around. So, of course, I don't want to say like get CPS, because if you're in the situation where a child can be taken away from the mom or the dad without child services getting involved, then by all means do that. But this is where we get back into, don't be scared to call the cops. Don't be scared to do what you have to do, because the best interest is always going to be getting them help where they don't want to go. No addict is going to want to go with you unless they are truly at rock bottom. When the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change, that's when the addict is going to go and get the help. You know what I mean? That's when they're going to say, I'll try anything. Let's go. I'm sick of the way that I'm living. Now that's like an advanced stage addict or alcoholic. You don't
Right.
get to that point just from drinking a couple of years. Like that's when you know that your life is so miserable that you
Right.
can do anything. And if you're not somebody that necessarily is with the whole Jesus thing or the God talk, I just want to ask you this one thing. If everything else that you're trying is not working, why not try Jesus?
Come on.
If every avenue you've ever gone down has just turned around and bit you in the butt, why not try him? I mean, I know it's hard to fathom that this man went and died on a cross and yada, 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 per se. I don't know. I don't get it. The Bible. Oh my God, whatever. Just give it a shot and see what else have you got to lose?
Got nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose anymore. And your life is worth it. I mean, people a lot of the time will tell me like, Wendy, how did you do it? What did you do? Like, good for you. You pulled yourself out. Well, God did it for me in the sense of he gave me the strength that I needed to pull out. I didn't do this on my own. If I was still on my own, we wouldn't be having this conversation now because I'd been dead a long time ago. You know, Buku
Right.
time should have died.
Right.
But when you finally surrender and drop to your knees, I think it was, I was in Tarrant County Jail. I'd been there for like 2 months and I just dropped down and I said, you know what, it's whatever. I can't live like this anymore. I had ruined my relationship with my little baby sister who was pregnant at the time. I didn't think I was ever going to see my niece. And that right there was what made me decide that I needed to give my life a fighting chance. So that's why I call my niece my little angel. You know, she has no idea that she saved my life. And,
Right.
it's just the hard time that I went through with being locked up. And I was looking at a 2-year state jail felony sentence. And I don't know what happened with the legal system. I mean, all I know is one night I got a no bill and they released me at 10 o'clock after being in there for 3 months. And I was like, what am I going to do now? Well, I can't go back and drink and use because I know what that's like.
Right.
Maybe I'm just going to give the sobriety thing a shot. And I did. And I remember praying to God, like any addict or alcoholic, because of the amount of pain they're in, they're going to tell you that there's been times when they're like, I just want the pain to stop. I don't want to kill myself, but I don't want to live no more. There's a big difference between, I want to kill myself. I just blah, blah, blah. No, they don't want to kill themselves. They want the pain to stop.
Yes.
And the therapy and counseling that will come with the rehabs, or, if you get it on the sidelines, whatever, that's going to be so necessary. You got to get them help because of all the gunk that's in there that's been buried down and pushed down with drugs and alcohol over all the years. That has to be pulled out by a professional. I mean, they got to get like down in there and grab it by the grit and pull it out. And that's why the recovery process is so ugly and so raw and so snot-nosed tears and pain and insomnia and nightmares and reliving all these things. I would never speak about anybody else's like bad stuff, but I can say safely that every rehab I've been in and all the counseling talks in a group that we've all been, all we've had, like, say 50 people sitting around and going around and telling their story, whatever, every single person had the same thing in common. And that thing in common was something bad happened to them. It doesn't always have to be abuse or molestation or whatever. It can be somebody they love died, somebody left them, they have abandonment issues. Like we all have something in common, and it's pain. So the only way to fix that is to heal. I mean, drinking and getting high and, smoking dope and drowning yourself in booze every night. Yeah, it makes you forget about it for a little bit, but it's always there when you wake up. So then the cycle just repeats itself daily, daily, daily until you eventually die of what you're doing, So therapy and counseling, that has to happen automatically. There's no way to heal from all this pain unless you talk about it. And that was really hard for me because shame and guilt, like I was talking about all the things that I'd ever done and the secrets that I was harboring. Like I want people to like me, love me. I don't want them to know the bad parts about my life.
Mm.
Um, that's a silent killer in and of itself. It is exhausting holding secrets and lying all the time and covering your tracks and being like, wait, what did I tell you? I don't want to like accidentally say the truth about something, and that's why being in jail was probably the most freeing and relaxed and at peace I've ever felt. Like, I'll tell anybody, I loved when I was in jail. I had the best time. Why? Because I wasn't having to run and hide and lie and cheat and steal and be the person I was because of my slavery to my addiction.
Come on.
And my addiction that was based on my pain. So if everything is in this, pyramid of where it lies, at the bottom of it is the pain and misery of that thing that happened to us. So once that's removed, all this goes away. All this goes away. There is no addiction where there is no pain.
Come on.
And like they're if somebody's happy and they've healed and they've grown and they have a good relationship with their family and the Lord and everything's copacetic, there's no need to go get high after everybody goes to sleep. I don't have to drink myself to a blackout to go to bed anymore because I don't lay in bed at night thinking about how much I hate myself and all the things that have gone wrong. So yeah, I mean, it's just let's get to the root of the issue. And they're, whether they're teenagers or whether they are grown men and women, they're probably not going to want you to be in every aspect of the healing process. Not everybody's ready to start telling the truth. Maybe they're ready to start, okay, I'll think about it. I'll go to a meeting or something, or I'll go check out a counseling session, whatever. Don't try to be like, okay, well, I'm going to come with you.
Right.
It's like, back it up. Like that might push them away and that might like reverse the whole process. You can take 2 steps forward and then completely take 5 steps back because you were too nosy Rosie and you didn't want to like give them their space. This is not a fun thing that they don't want everybody to be invited. All right. So after once you get them to start saying yes a little bit, ask them, what do they want the next step to be? Do you want to go to rehab here? Do you want to go there? I remember my first rehab, my mom asked me, do you want to go to rehab in Shreveport or do you want to go in Dallas? And my first thought was, how will not a lot of people like know about this? It's not something we want really broadcasted for everybody to see. I mean, in my early recovery, I still was kind of like, I don't want to like just boast about it, but don't be pushy. Don't be shovey. Do your research on some rehabs. And I will definitely say, don't even waste your time with a 30-day rehab. Now, again, I'm only speaking based on my experience, but if you've wrecked your life for 10 whatever years, how can 30 days fix anything?
No way.
I don't want to bash the 30-day treatment centers out there. If you work at one, or if you started one, or if you've been to one, by all means, this is not to say that it doesn't serve some kind of purpose, because I've learned good stuff there. But I just feel like more time is needed to fix all the wrong that you've done in your life. I mean, your heart, it's something else. You know what I'm saying? You don't just put a Band-Aid on something that needs for real deal surgery, Right. And I was gone for 10 months. That's not even as long as I was supposed to be gone. But 10 months ended up being how long I spent. And I was away from my family. I had no communication with anybody. We could make phone calls ever so often, and I was still rebelling in there, and I would sneak the phone anytime I could. The letters were really important, like all the distractions need to be taken out, which in the world, especially nowadays, simplicity will do somebody good. And the only way that your loved one is going to actually get some self-reflection is when the only thing that they're faced with looking at is themselves. Rehabs in jail, they are great for this kind of thing, because not only do we need to be punished for the things that we've done, but you also are stuck in a 12-by-6 room with a mirror that you can't really see in that well. And it's like just you. And you're like, okay, so who am I now that I don't have the clothes, the hair, the makeup, the TV, the society, the everything? Like who am I really when I'm stripped down to absolutely nothing? And it was then that I realized I did not like myself. I did not like the way I behaved. I did not like the pain that I had caused people. I didn't like how I treated the people that loved me. And my family loves me so much. And I, time after time, just burned them, burned them, burned them. But it wasn't me that was doing it. It was this twisted Windy 2, I would call her. Running all the shots. And all I was doing was just trying to get high again. That's it. Trying to get to the booze. And you know, it's going to be painful when you have to look at you for who you really become. Once all the drugs and the alcohol are taken away too, where you don't have to face yourself. Because a lot of times I was getting high and drunk just so I wouldn't have to face reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely.
A lot of times I didn't want to look in the mirror because I didn't want to go eye to eye with myself. And like, you know, I was disgusted with me big time.
Absolutely.
And then I started seeing things from my family and friends' point of view, like, wow, I was a piece of crap. I was a piece of crap. Why do they even still talk to me? And it's because of love, you know, and that's what's going to be the biggest factor here is if you love them, it's time to start making decisions. It's time to start putting your foot down. It's time to say enough is enough. I do not want to bury my child, because too many moms and dads are doing the same thing that I'm trying to do because they had to look at their kid in a casket far too soon because of the heroin or the alcohol or whatever their drug of choice may be. Wow. So that's just what I want to get out. Like, if you love them, do something, because real love doesn't come from just sitting back and allow it to happen. My dad, whenever he used to get onto me, his big thing would say, Wendy, if I didn't care, I wouldn't say something. I wouldn't do nothing if I didn't love you, you know? And I thought he was just like out to ruin my life. But really, now that I'm an adult and I'm of right mind, I see that what he meant was, shit, if you yeah, if I didn't care, you could go be doing whatever you wanted, you know. But I do love you, so I am going to say something. He had to call the cops on me a couple of times, and they took me out against my will. And you know, I was mad at the time, but now I know he did it because he loved me. So if you love your kid, you got to do something now, not tomorrow, not next week, because you could lose them in between that time, you know.
Absolutely, man. That's powerful. I mean, this whole segment has been powerful, and we don't have, you know, there's so much in here that we can try to jam pack, but I was just allowing you just to flow because it's imperative for people to hear what you're saying, because there's so many parents out there that want to cover up because of image. They want to like everything is fine, pictures on the wall, you know, room is this. I'm a coach, and so I used to go and coach these guys, and that was their biggest thing was they're like, I don't need my mom's effing money. Like, I don't even need this place. I need someone to really truly help me through my addiction, not just pump me with some more meds and put me in a corner. I need to talk about this stuff. And so I believe right now that society needs to talk about a whole lot of stuff right now because of where we're at. I mean, politically, racially, medically, just the whole nine, right? And so this is very powerful because a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And what where I'm at in this whole conversation is that because of the help that they didn't give you, how long now are you sober?
I've been sober 19 months.
Look at you. 19 months. That's close to 2 years. I mean, that is awesome. And I could say for myself, and even those that are watching, my brother's on here, he remembers you. Chrissy Moore's on here, she remembers you. I think I can speak for everyone who has known you as long as I have, and as far as like set free. The old Windy number 2, is not the person that I'm interviewing right now. And so I can't stop saying it enough. I'm very, very proud of you. You've got love from God that's on you. You are taking action. And that's one of the biggest things that I tell my client every single time that we meet. You're taking action.
Yeah.
Everything that you're doing is taking action, because it's not just about, you and I both know, you go to the altar, get that prayer, everyone will be like, oh, she had a breakthrough, and the next week she's at the altar again. It's the altar is the experience,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the application after the altar that really matters,
Yeah.
of really walking that thing out. I've got this saying that we walk it out with you. We're helping you walk out this thing called life.
Right.
Because it takes those people in your life to constantly walk next to you, not in front of you, not behind you yelling at you, but walking next to you saying, you got this, man. Okay, so you fell. All right, I'm going to wait here, but I need you to get up. I'm going to help you get up just a bit, but you've got to be able to push your feet. I'm not going to carry you like a little baby. I'm not going to do all that. You're going to have to get up. One of my favorite movies are Rocky. And so now that they've got Creed and Creed Part 2, one of the things that is just sounding in my ear the last week is that the mom told the daughter-in-law, this fight, he's going to have to fight it himself.
Yeah.
Your job is just to love him. That's it. And he's got to go through this season. And so the same with us, even after recovery, there comes those times of flashback. There comes those certain smells. There comes those certain tastes. And so that's the fight that we have to fight within ourselves to say, no, you're not going to do that. No. I don't care what I smell. No. I don't care what I see. We're not going to do that no more, because we're good here. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to continue to encourage you, and to continue to encourage those that are watching right now, that continue to keep doing what you're doing. Like, really, truly do it, girl, because it shows and you can see it. And I still have that letter that you wrote me back. So, like, for me, I'm that guy. I've got envelopes of stuff that kids have given me, scribbles. I keep that stuff, and I'm going to keep it forever, because it's those moments sometimes when you're actually able to show somebody, hey, you remember this? And that person is like, wow, you didn't just receive a letter, but you actually cared to hang on to it. And so those moments, those times, it gives me great pleasure, but I'm sure it gives God even more pleasure to see where you're at now. And so I just want you to be able to help somebody right now in the next few minutes, because we're about to wrap it up. Is there any resources that you can give them that are in this area? Do you know? I mean, just let's just close this out.
Okay.
Any final words that you have to encourage somebody, and then I'm going to allow you to close us out in prayer, because you just rocked this show, girl.
All right. When it comes to resources, if you have something that you want to ask me, or you need more help about something, let me know what city you're in or state you're in, and then I can filter down the resources that I can give you. And it's, again, categorize your situation on how much help they need. Do you want to give them a little bit and start it slow, or do you want to go ahead and throw them all the way into long-term care? And definitely write Paul, and he'll get to me, or you can write me directly, and I'll start helping you find the best place for your loved one to go. And Paul, thank you so much for having me. This is, look at God. Look at God, right? So cool.
One more thing that I want to add. Okay, 2 things. Number 1, when are we going to see the book? Because you got to write a book, girl. I know you're a writer. I know it's in you. Okay, when are we going to see the book? And number 2, this girl, I haven't tasted it yet, but she's got some rock star estrella salsa. So Sandy Wiggins out there, this may be the salsa that your husband needs. All right. So I just those are the 2 questions that I have. I'm just speaking it into the atmosphere. You are going to write a book. All right. Because you are going to be able to help. You're going to have speaking engagements. You're going to be able to help those that are in the community, not only the addict, but the enabler, because you love the whole passionate part of of recovery. So I just want to throw that out there. All right.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. So
I
it gets going to deaf ears. I promise you.
Awesome. We'll close us out in prayer so we can go on about our evening. And thank you guys, every single one of y'all, for joining in this evening.
Thank you.
And so, Wendy, can we have you back in about a month?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to.
Okay, cool. So let's pray it out. And
right.
Let's rock this thing.
All right. Father God, before we ask you for anything, we thank you for everything. Lord, thank you for giving me and Paul this platform to speak to the people on. And Lord, I know that somebody tonight heard something that was going to help them. And I am just so grateful and so thankful that the Holy Spirit entered into this place and into this room. And you could be that for someone who was willing to allow it, Father God. Thank you so much for the help that you're going to give somebody, and maybe the help that they're going to give somebody, and the help that they're going to give somebody. Lord, we're gracious that your son died on the cross for us and gave us the mercy and grace that we don't deserve, but you give us freely every single day. Lord, I pray for those who are still struggling. I pray for those who still don't think that they're worth anything, even though you died for us so that we could be sons and daughters of the King. Lord, give them that spirit that lies within you and open up their hearts to receive it if the pride and their ego is in the way, Father God. We love you. We thank you. We give you all the praise and all the glory. And it's in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. All right, guys, you heard us. We will be back in about a month. I'm sure you'll see more of me throughout the next few weeks. But Wendy, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the next one, guys. Love y'all.
All right. Bye.